Welcome to the parody where we tally up the victims of our favorite media. I'm Chelsea Rose, and today we're looking at the Helluva Boss pilot released in 2019. Hold on, let me just wait a little bit. A little longer. A little longer. Few more seconds. And now! Fuck. Now this here is the massively popular pilot to the massively popular series Helluva Boss created by VivziePop. Although note, if I ever covered the other series Has Been Hotel in full, I'll just talk about the stuff with Vivzie there, as it's more appropriate to that show than this one. Even though this show does have its own problems. But I'll just talk about this show's problems here, and instead of like somewhere else. Helluva Boss is, well, supposed to anyways, follow the antics of some murder professionals down in hell. You know, like a group of hired hitmen. For the positives, some of the expressions here are really good, and you can tell that there was a lot of effort put into the animation at the very least. And also, the voice acting itself is probably the best part about the entire show at large. It's one of the few things in the show that is consistently good throughout. And also, this cruise pilot is kinda stacked. Not only are Invader Zim and Brody Fox in the cast list, we also have songs made by Perry Grip, the guy who made the fucking It's Raining Tacos song you hear all over Roblox. And also, the soundtrack for this was made by Gooseworks. Yes, the amazing digital circuses Gooseworks. And also, speaking of Gooseworks, in a future parody, she might rose back up. That was a bad pun. Oh, it was also casted by Killen Goff, an actual established voice actor, which does explain the actual talent in the cast. But in truth, all that talent doesn't really make up for the fact that VivziePop ruined the show's entire premise later on! Because after this pilot, you would expect that there's more stories about, like, murder and stuff by people contracting them to do it in the real world, right? If that's what you wanted out of Has Been Hotel, but you can go fuck off!
Did you just order a package from
Nope! Season 2, in its majority, is basically just entirely what VivziePop herself wants to do with Stolitz, with only a few episodes during that season doing stuff outside of that shit. Part of what drew so many people to the pilot and season 1 was the fact that it was a concept that was completely original. Even if it was just a spinoff of Has Been Hotel, it was still a fresh new concept for web animation and just animation in general. However, as the series went on, the focus shifted to whatever VivziePop wanted to do with Stolitz, and people started to see the faults in the show. I'm kinda glad that the show does have its own fan base, but I'll talk more about said fan base when we get to, like, the full Has Been Hotel series, like I said with the VivziePop stuff. And I hope to the fans of the show that can actually sit down and talk civically about this, that y'all can have some sort of a conversation about the show within the comments of this video, because this intro is already way too long enough. Simply put, I'm just kinda sad with the direction Helluva Boss went over the course of its run. And it simply sucks, because there's a lot of people working on the show that want to make it great. But I'm kind of just sad with the direction Helluva Boss went over the course of its run. There are still 2 more seasons of the show left, but to me, it just won't be the same when the rawest form of what the show was meant to be is just concentrated in its very first episode that's now deemed non-canon. And also, the show really isn't all that funny, but that's kind of like one of the least concerns about the writing, I guess. I'm just explaining this here so I don't have to explain it if I ever want to get the Helluva Boss on an episode-to-episode basis. Simply put, I don't really like Has Been Hotel nor Helluva Boss all that much, but if you do, that's okay. You do you. And now with all that out of the way, let's get to the kills. The pilot begins with Blitz trying to figure out why they aren't getting any goddamn customers. And since I was too busy getting frustrated over the direction the show went in the intro, I'll just introduce you to the characters here. Blitz is the boss of the entire thing, Moxie's the most consistent character, Millie is Moxie's wife, and Luna, well, Luna's a dog. Business has been floundering for the immediate murder professionals lately, and Blitz wants to get to the bottom of it. Thus, he adds the first 4 kills to the count by showing them a video of how everyone could contribute to the cause. Hey, Blitz, I got a good idea. Pitch it to you two. Oh, wait, you two doesn't like murder. Oh, how about gay romance instead? That pitch pilot probably won't get anywhere, but neither did the ad Blitz made that he put on some random channel that nobody watches. But apparently the jingle is good, so that should probably attract at least one person, right? Moxie, that commercial is the closest I'm ever gonna get to fucking musical theater.
Are you trying to crush his dreams, Moxie?
You can crush my dreams, Millie.
What?
After more back and forth complaining, we finally get to the ad. Simply put, if there's someone in the overworld you want dead, they can do it for you. And don't worry, random demons, their yaoi manga gives them the power. Then we get blown right into the meat of the ad. As I alluded to in the intro, the song that plays over this ad was made by PARODY, which explains why it's really catchy. And while it's not like particularly funny or anything, this ad is the best part of the episode. The ad also gives us an additional 15 kills to add onto the count. That includes the falling person, someone that gets exploded off screen, a swinging pair of legs, 3 other torture and murder victims, a prank gone wrong gone sexual, this head stabbing, and 6 more that we see flash on screen. Eventually, it all goes wrong when they accidentally shoot a little kid. They rush him into the ER where the doctors are incompetent as all hell. You know, I do like the implication that these 3 demons from hell had to, register as this kid's, legal guardian or whatever. However, the good news is that the kid is alive but needs surgery. But since they don't have insurance, they have to cause property damage. And that's how they end up back in the office for basically the entire rest of the episode. And also, it's after all of that Luna finally becomes relevant in the pilot. However, her only bits here are relegated to Family Guy cutaway gags. No, I won't be talking about all of them here since they're basically just, filler. However, I will know that this one has her watching the Hazbin Hotel pilot, which I'll cover August 10th. And then there's this one with Luna Gurner Bay, and we can move on. Also, doesn't this piece of animation look weird as fuck to anyone else? And that technically does give us another kill with that kicked baby. All that Family Guy-ness, however, was just the setup that Luna was talking to Stolas, who Blitz has a personal connection to. Because the entire reason they can go up to Earth is because Blitz, fucked them.
Sorry, I fucked your husband.
And then that also devolves into a phone call gag where Blitz is talking to him. Stolas is this royal owl guy who just wants Blitz to do a job for him where he has to kill a guy who's trying to convince people global warming is real. That also quickly devolves into the most lewd sexual talk imaginable. Blitz hangs up and destroys the phone. And apparently all that was to confirm that Luna was a well-respected member of the group, even though half of that was about yaoi. Moxie shit talks Luna for a bit, but say it again with me, people. It devolves into stuff about his and Millie's relationship. That's right, more Family Guy cutaway gags showing Blitz stalking Moxie because of his relationship and shit. God, he could have just removed all this from the episode and, nothing would have changed. But also, the third one of these shows Moxie being a respectable dude. Good for him.
Are you fucking filming us right now?
Okay, I will admit it. That part right there did get a laugh out of me. But obviously, with all the stalking he does, it does get to Moxie a little bit. However, it's less about the couple stuff and more just the fact that Blitz just likes fucking with Moxie. And also the fact that in Blitz's opinion, Moxie is,
Your husband is just, how do I say this without being offensive?
An idiot. Phew, glad he didn't say something that was offensive there, am I right? The argument escalates after the word until the kid interjects. Turns out the kid's been fine this entire time and is sick and tired of the Family Guy episode he just had to sit through. And this kid is basically the entire reason why that one video of Kane exists.
I figured you for a slut. It's been a literal hell having to pretend to be paralyzed so you fuckshits wouldn't kill me. If I wanted to hear from a spineless jackass, I'd rip out your spine and ask you some shit.
Because this kid is really annoying, they have to find a way to take care of him. So then Blitz literally just shoots him in the chest and that's the end of that. They also do some other stuff, but they just want to send this kid to his parents already. And that's exactly what they do on national news for some reason.
You're welcome.
The episode already ended, but we're looking at the storyboards in the credits for the song Oh Millie. There's basically no substance to it, but it does give us 2 kills to end off our count with. Let's get out of here already. Did this pilot manage to be a hell of a riot in terms of kills? And by kills, I don't mean the death threats in my comments after I criticize this show. Let's find out and get to the numbers. 23 people died in the Helluva Boss pilot. The victims consisted of 10 males, 12 unknowns, and 1 woman who is the 6th and the 9. Get it? 69. Why aren't you laughing? It's a sex joke. Please laugh! which gives us this not-so-red pie chart. But hey, I guess the show's color palette makes up for that. With a runtime of only 11 minutes, that left us with a kill on average of 28.69 seconds. Boom, look, another 69 joke. I'm gonna go kill myself now. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to the entire Imp commercial that kills off 15 people. It's the most memorable part of the episode to me, even if it's probably just the music that's carrying it a lot. Broken Pistol goes to the baby. And that's it. The Helluva Boss pilot was released in 2019, and since then amassed nearly 70 million views. I'm still skeptical on whether or not I'll cover the full series on an episode-to-episode format like a different Murder Drones, but until I come to that determination, I'm Chelsea Rose, and this has been the Parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody. Well, I don't really say that a lot lately, do I, huh? I was planning on covering this in like November, December, January maybe, but I remembered why I didn't. It's because I realized half this fucking episode is just Family Guy cutaway gags. I can understand why that kid was very pissed off, but he did it in an annoying way. I don't like that kid. Also, if you haven't noticed, I've been releasing way more parodies in July than like the rest of the entire year as of now, lol. And I have way more parodies planned for the rest of the month, so stay tuned to see what those are. Thanks for watching.